Hello, my name is HAPruitt, and I am the author of the Anathalian series, and I am also an editor. And this video and this video series is going to be about editing your book. I'm going to explain how to edit a book, all the stages, all the steps. Not all steps are going to be absolutely necessary to edit a book, but all of the steps will be helpful in making your book the best it can be, whether you're traditional publishing or self-publishing. A lot of them will apply to both before you even get your book to the point of sending it to query or sending it to an editor. This will help you self-edit your book to make it the best it can be. If you want to know about my editing services or the 4 types of editing, I have that in a video, and I'll put that video down in the description you can watch. If you're interested in hiring me as an editor, or you just want to know like the basics of the 4 types of editing, then you can watch that video linked in the description. And if you have any questions or if you have suggestions of editing topics, please leave them in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the video for this week. So this video in the editing series is going to be about using alpha readers to help you edit your book. Alpha readers are best to use when you're still in the rereading and letting it rest phase, which video 3 was about. This is video 4. So go back, and if you haven't seen video 3 in this editing series, look through the playlist, watch that video to know kind of when to use them, and then come back to this video. Alright, so what are alpha readers? Alpha readers can be anybody. They're often friends and family. They can be author friends, they can be friends and family. An alpha reader can be any, I don't know why I keep saying alpha reader. Alpha reader can be anybody. An alpha reader helps with big stuff. If you have plot holes, if you have big things that don't work, just kind of seeing big picture stuff, storyline stuff. They can help with smaller details, like a character's eye and hair color, making sure you get that consistent through the book and it doesn't switch from green to blue or brown or whatever. They can find smaller details. They can help you with anything they are able to help you with. Alpha readers don't usually help with technical stuff like grammar and punctuation, sentence structure, things like that, things that are technical that not everybody cares about. I'm saying a lot, and I feel really self-conscious about it, so I'm sorry if it's bugging you. Okay, so also, alpha indicates this is the very first person to read your story besides you. So you want someone who is going to be constructive, but someone who is also understanding and kind, like a sibling or a spouse or a best friend. Someone who can see the flaws, but will tell you about them in a nice way, because a lot of people say that like their first drafts, which is what an alpha reader often reads, their first draft is just awful and they don't want anybody to see it. So I'll get to a second when, but staying on this point right now. So your alpha reader, you want to make sure there's someone who, if they're reading it, they're not just going to be like, oh, well, this is junk. They're going to be someone who understands this is your first draft. I just want somebody to read this and tell me if it makes sense at all and give me ideas if I need help. So that's what an alpha reader is. So when should I use an alpha reader? Whenever you work up the courage, honestly, is whenever you first work up the courage to let somebody else read this thing, is when you should use an alpha reader. So that may be when you first type like the end, or you first finish the book. Like if you type it or handwrite it, I handwrite mine. And so when I get done handwriting mine, I let it rest, like I talked about in the other video, let it rest, and then I don't do anything to it before I read it to my husband, who is my alpha reader. So you can do that if you want, whether you handwrite it or type it, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you can let somebody read it after you finish it the very first time if you want to. That can be your alpha reader. Or you can go through it several times because like I said, some people say theirs is just an absolute wreck. Most people say their first draft is an absolute wreck. So you can go through it several times before you feel like another person can read this and actually make sense of it. So an alpha reader comes whenever you say, okay, I want somebody else to read this and just see it. A person who is close to me, a person who understands me and just can help me with it. That's kind of what an alpha reader is, and when they come into your editing process. Okay, so my example may help you any questions you may have about alpha readers. My alpha reader is my husband, and he does not care about grammar or punctuation. He knows some from school, but he just doesn't care about it, so he doesn't remember most of it. He just doesn't care. But he likes to read, and he likes a good story. So anyone in your life who likes to read, likes a good story, can be your alpha reader. My husband, I read to him. I read aloud to him because he's auditory. So I read to him before I do any editing, but after the rest period. Again, that's in that other video about the rest period and editing cycle. Okay, so, and I read aloud to him because he's an auditory learner and because it gives me eyes on my story. I am a read, write, visual learner. And so while I'm reading it to him, I'm editing it while he's listening to it and editing it. It gives me a first editing round while he's also helping me. And anytime he notices anything or hears anything that sounds off or wrong, he'll stop me and let me know. And after each chapter, because if you have ever read your first draft to anybody, I remember when I read in my first book, Anathalion, in our little dinky house when we were like just a couple years married, I was so scared to read it to him. It was my first book. And it took me like 10 minutes just to work up the courage to start reading. And then after each chapter, I was like, is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? And that's what your alpha reader can be. You just stop me and be like, is it okay? Is it okay? And he loved every second of it. He's like, I just love it. I just keep reading it to me. He doesn't even like fiction. He doesn't even like fantasy. He likes nonfiction. Weirdo. Oh no, I'm joking. He likes nonfiction, but he just ate it up. He's like, this is so much fun. And now he teases me because like we've had kids and I've only read him through book 5, I think, and I've already finished book 8. And he's like, when are you going to get back to reading to me? And you're writing without me and all these stuff. Okay, that's a side note. But it's also like, it shows you that your alpha reader can be your biggest supporter. Somebody who's like, keep reading to me. I keep giving me these books. Like, keep letting me read these books. This is so good. And so an alpha reader can be your biggest supporter too. He's definitely my biggest supporter. And he makes inside jokes with me all the time because I've read some of the books to him twice. And he just likes to make the inside jokes. It just makes it more fun. But he also like Anathalion series is a fantasy series that takes place. It's a portal fantasy, goes to another world. So you have people from this world and people from that world in the book. And he noticed one time a character says that somebody's being a pill. And he's like, wait. Who said that? And I was like, it's Ella, you know, the character from Anathalion. He's like, she wouldn't say that because they don't have pills in Anathalion. That phrase came about in our world because like a pill can be hard to swallow and bitter. And I'm like, you're right. I didn't even think about that when I wrote that. And he just catches little things like that throughout and notices those small, tiny details that when I write them, I just don't think about them. But he notices it, and it's very helpful. And like directional words, I'm really bad with directional words, like east and west and north. And he's really good at it, so he catches those things. And your alpha reader can help with that. Just little things that you struggle with that they notice. And it's really helpful to have somebody who thinks differently than you. My husband is complete opposite of me. Just every single way you could possibly think. Complete opposite of me. And so I'm not good with numbers, but he catches number things. And if I get things wrong with numbers, he catches it. Again, the directional things, analytical things, logical things. Anything I'm not good at, he catches it. And also, just because this is going to be another video, but just reading it aloud to him helps me edit the book. But I'll do another video about reading aloud and the importance of reading your book aloud. So that is everything about alpha readers. If you have more questions about alpha readers, really, alpha readers are a very loose concept. It's somebody just to help you kind of get started. Someone close to you, someone honest, definitely not paid, not professional, just a very loose, like, I want you to read this, can you please read this? But if you have any questions about any of that, please ask questions. Give any tips, any stories about your alpha readers and how they have helped you. Comment on this video, like it, subscribe, watch the whole playlist of this editing series. Yeah. So that is the editing tip for this week. Please like this video, please leave a comment, please share this video with others. Please check out that video of my editing services and the 4 types of editing in the description below. And remember, this video is part of a series, so please watch the series so you can make your book the best that it can be. If you want to know more about Anathalion or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anathalion. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anathalion, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anathalion is. The website is HAPruitt.com. I got things to say. What do you have to say? Tell him. What do you have to say? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah.